Hey everybody, what's up? This is my second video blog. I'm sending it from Seoul, South Korea. I'm actually tempted to call this my Gangnam Style blog, but it's actually not even true. I learned that Gangnam Style is actually referring to the culture on the south side of the river, and I happen to be on the north side of the river right now, so it's not even true, but I couldn't help but tell the cheesy joke, so sorry. Okay, so this blog is about a concept, semi-controversial, called looking for the good. First of all, why would I want to comment on this? Part of it is because I've been thinking a lot about it. Part of it is there are a lot of people that have talked about this particular concept, a lot of Anusara, former Anusara teachers, and in fact it's gotten a lot of the, and I think rightly, the blame for a lot of what went on last year. It's been a year since the Anusara scandal, and I actually even remember saying fairly near the beginning of the scandal last year that this is one of the things, this is one of the elements of the Anusara culture that was problematic. For a few years now, I've actually even changed the looking for the good phrase to other phrases that were what I felt was a little bit less problematic. So just a little bit of background in case there's someone watching that has no idea what I'm talking about. The idea is not a crazy one. In fact, I think Chuck Schumer mentioned it in the inaugural opening about the work that it takes to look for the good in a situation. And from for a teaching strategy, which is how I always saw it predominantly, is about making a connection with a student, making like a unifying bond so that they actually hear you more, as opposed to going up in their head and thinking, when you give them a correction, oh my God, I suck, I'm horrible at this. They actually hear that you're recognizing something that they're doing well because you've done the work to find it, or at least recognize it, and then they listen to you more. So as a teaching strategy, it always made sense to me. The problem sort of begins when you look a little deeper into why in the Anusara culture this was actually used as such a paradigmatic, almost standard. Like it was pretty much the currency of communication. It was a lot of requirement to always, no matter what, look for the good. And this was rooted in the tantric philosophical idea that at the base of who we are, at our true essence, there is a goodness. That in and of itself doesn't sound so bad. It sounds hopeful. It sounds affirmative. But there's a problem essentially with trying to connote absolute nature, who we are way deep down. Describe it with a word, good, that is inextricably linked to bad. In other words, good and bad, conditional words by definition, to put one of them with something that is absolute and therefore unconditional is just off. And then as a teacher, not that I could have ever articulated this a few years ago, but there is then this almost assumption that and a pressure that because it is, and we are good at our baseline essential nature, if you don't see it, or you somehow are having such a bad day that you don't feel like looking for the good, then there's something wrong with you. So in essence, because this conditional word was tied to this essential, indescribable element of philosophy, there was this cultural, as I said, pressure to always do it no matter what. But we're human, as I said. And as I said, there's days that were difficult to do it. And so what happened was people would, I think, and I felt I did this, when I actually couldn't see the good or wasn't in a good enough mood to see the good, or even sometimes when good is really inappropriate, when it's a bad situation, when something is dark and tragic, we would actually suppress those truths, what we were actually seeing and feeling, in order to just go along and to say the right thing. And looking for the good, I think, became say the good, and in parentheses, even at the expense of ignoring what you really see. And that led to a host of other problems, people feeling like they were not speaking their truth and actually enabling a culture that wasn't really willing to look at all of the different aspects of who we are. It made it almost way too easy to only stay in the bright, happy parts of our psyche and spirit. And thus, when the Anusara thing kind of blew up, I think it really was a place for people to say, well, and rightly, in my opinion, that was one of the problems. That was one of the places and the sources of dishonesty and even cult-like thinking because of the pressure. So what do we do? Well, for me, I think that there is still value in part of looking for the good. I think the work involved in looking, if the emphasis were on the looking and not on the good, the fact that there's always going to be separation, and there's always going to be delineation between what I want and what you want and what they want and what she wants and he wants. And whether you're a teacher or just a normal life, you're willing to do the work and see the value of a situation or the value in the space that we're all here to share, instead of just almost copping out to what's easy. That effort, I think, is still worthy. However, especially for me, based on the experience and reflection that I've had and that I've seen other people have, the need to be honest and be courageous in our willingness to point out things that aren't good, things that are dark, the shadow side, so that we really are truly facing up to who we are in this effort. And that actually makes us more able, because it's more honest, to then affirm who we are, who our students are, who other people are, and move forward into a more progressive state. So anyway, these are my thoughts. Thanks for listening.